How many different projects have you decided to start on since you've been retired? Or how many have you thought about that you'd like to do? Whether you've actually started them or whether it's still just an idea in the back of your head. I've gone through the stage of having a few little projects that I wanted to get started. Most of them I'm still working my way through them, and I think one of them that I'm thinking of in particular was trying to do get rid of all the stuff in my house that I no longer use or that's been sitting there for more than a year and I hasn't seen the light of day, and it's basically a project to do some decluttering. So anyway, I've now taken that a step further. I said to my daughter, the one that was here doing some work with me with her husband, probably around about March, April, I'm going to have a garage sale. And I said to her, I'm going to to go back a little bit. In the past, when I've had stuff here that I've not wanted, I've just taken it down to the op shop and just given stuff away willy-nilly and thought, why don't I just decide to have a garage sale and just get so much of this stuff out of it. The reason I thought about this was one of the things that I've decided to sort through, which has been on my mind for so long, is sorting through the wardrobe in my spare room where my granddaughter, when she was staying here, she left a lot of clothes in there. And there was boots and clothes and all sorts of stuff in that room. And I just feel bad just taking it all down to the op shop, because even though it was all a bit smaller size when she was a teenager to what she is now, that she's in her mid-20s, it's just such good clothing and I don't want to just go and send it down to the op shop. So what I've decided to do is to have this garage sale. I started off last week going through all the shoes that she's got in her wardrobe, that she had in the wardrobe. And some of the shoes are pretty had it. And also she had some handbags in there. Well, the handbags, if they've got that faux leather, they it just starts to peel off after a while. And I've had to chuck a couple of those out, but there is still a couple there that are in pretty good condition. The other thing she bought herself was a motorbike jacket, because she was going to play Mary Helen, get this motorbike, get a license and do all sorts of stuff with a motorbike. That never happened. The motorbike jacket's still in the wardrobe. So I got it out the other day, and luckily the bag that it came in when she bought it from the shop still had the sales docket in there and all the information about the jacket. So at least now I can see roughly what the price was that she paid for it and what I can probably expect to get for it. I'm not going to put that in the garage sale though. I'm going to try and sell that online, because, you know, garage sale, someone would be wanting to pick it up for probably $20 or something, and it's a good motorbike jacket that's been worn once. So I don't really want to just give that away basically at a garage sale. The other thing that I've been doing, of course, is I've been following a lot of YouTubers looking at furniture restoration, furniture flipping more than anything. People that go picking at garage sales, Goodwill shops and all that sort of thing. And that's been, I've had a lot of fun watching those sorts of videos over probably the last couple of weeks, because being the holiday period, I've done next to nothing as far as YouTube's concerned for myself, because I just needed to take a break, which I did, and I thought now I'm ready to get back into making videos again. So I've been watching a lot of these videos on furniture flipping, vintage home decor, all that sort of thing, and it's just fascinating. The thing that I find in America, because most of them are from the States or a few from Canada, but the Goodwill shops and the antique shops and vintage shops over there are so huge, and they have such a wide range of things that you can choose from to and markets that they set up and sell stuff. I'm just amazed by by the number of it. But of course, the size of the country, it's natural, I guess, that there'd be so many of these, and there's so many people that are making a living out of it. And so that's one of the things that I've been looking at. And what I've decided to do is, because this house here is basically, I've bought a bit of furniture when I've needed to and put it in a corner, and when I've wanted another piece of furniture, I've put that in the corner and bookshelf or whatever, and nothing's really been coordinated. And I thought how nice it would be to be able to, when I get rid of all the surplus stuff that I don't want to use again, is to maybe start going through room by room and sort of seeing how I can get it staged or decorated or something, with a vintage sort of accent in the background. And I love going to op shops. There is a few here, they're not very big. The selections aren't very good. The prices normally are quite high unless you get a really, really good price. Unless you get a really good bargain. But it's fun going around and looking at them anyway. So I've been going around. I went to one the other day. It was a Salvation Army one. They had a whole lot of those big plastic tote bins on the wheels. And I thought, now that's what I need to get for putting some of the things in that I like, the shoes and other things that I'm finding in the house and in the garage, that I'm going to put into this garage sale. But I can be sort of putting a price on it and sticking it in the tote bag, so it's all ready to go when I decide to have the garage sale. And I said to my daughter, I said, if you've got some stuff down there that you don't want to take back to Australia with you, because her and her husband are eventually moving back to Australia, I said, if there's anything that you want to sell, even, if your hubby wants to get rid of some old tools and stuff that he doesn't want to take back to Australia, but he doesn't really want to go and list them online, come on up and you can set up a table and we can all have a big garage sale day. So that's what's on the agenda at the moment. But just going around all these op shops, and it's just given me another project to work on. And it's really interesting because, when I hear so many people, they think, oh, what are they going to do in their retirement and all of this sort of thing. And I just don't have enough hours in the day to do all the things that I want to. And that's... I'm probably going overboard, but I just like learning about things, trying new things. I've had this all of my life, really, and I was never happy when I was married with young kids. We bought a sort of an older house, and I wasn't happy until I learned how to do wallpapering, and I went through and wallpapered the house myself and did the painting of the windows and ceilings and everything. So, but once I learned how to do that, I was satisfied. That's it, I can do that. I learned how to crochet. I know how to knit. I wanted to make macrame. I made a couple of beautiful macrame hangers a few years ago. And once I learned how to do it, I was satisfied. I can do macrame now if I ever wanted to, and I don't think I've ever done anything from that day to this. But that's just me. I've got this curiosity about wanting to try new things and do new things, and what better time to do it when you're retired? So that's the project that I'm working on at the moment. And the other thing is too that I found, I've got about 10 years ago, I bought three prints of Goldie paintings. Now Charles Goldie was a renowned artist in New Zealand who went to Paris and studied over there and came back to New Zealand, and he did these paintings which are Goldie paintings, and the majority of them are head and shoulders of Maori chiefs and just old Maori people, and this was back at the turn of the 1900s. And I picked up three of these prints about 10 years ago that were just on a cardboard, And I've just had them sitting stored in a wardrobe doing nothing, and I thought I really would like to get some frames to put those into. And so I've measured them up and thought, oh, chances of getting some, vintage looking frames are probably fairly remote. So I may just go into a framing shop, photo framing or picture framing shop, and just ask them what the cost of a frame would be to suit those prints, and not get them to do the framing, but just see if I could get the frames and how much that would cost. So that's another little project that I've got going on. And then following that, there are a few things that are going to come into play in the near future that are going to slow me down a wee bit, but I'm going to do another video on that. But my daughter and son-in-law, they're heading off on a cruise in a few days, or probably another week or so, and I'm going to be looking after their dog, he's a fairly active dog they brought back from Japan with them. So that's going to give me something to do for a couple of weeks. And then they are going off to a concert down country in mid-February. And I'm going down to their place out in the country, out in the Wop-Wops, and I'm going to stay there for a couple of days and look after their dog while they're away. So that's a couple of things that I've also got in the future. But of course, when I go down to their place, they don't have any internet. They only have very basic local TV. And so I'm going to start, I've been trying to do a little bit of writing, not getting very far because I keep getting sidetracked with all these things that I'm trying to do. And so I'm going to spend a couple of days seeing what I can do about trying to get some thoughts together, seeing that I've got no interruptions other than dogs, and see if I can start getting a little bit of writing sorted out for myself. But that's another project. That's another one again. I probably need to slow down a wee bit. But that I believe that's what retirement's all about. It's not just sitting there. I do get a bit tired at the moment, and health reasons are causing that, but I've got so much to do, and what is it they say, so much to do, so little time. So that's where I'm at the moment with all of my little projects. Looking forward to getting things sorted out for my garage sale. And yes, while I was saying about going to the op shop, I got carried away. When I went to the op shop, I was going to go and pick up one of these big totes that they have, these big ones on wheels, and they had them there. They had quite a few of them. They had about half a dozen, and they were about $7 each. And I thought, oh, I'll get one of those. That'll be good to put the shoes in. And I went round there a couple of days later, and they've all gone. And I thought, oh, drat. So I'll go back again in a few days and just have a look and see if they've got any more of those. And they have got some there that don't have a lid on them, but I don't want a tote without the lid. I want to get the ones with the lid. I could go to Mitre 10, the hardware shop, but you're paying, $15 or something for them there. I don't want to pay that much for an empty box. So, but the funny thing was, while I was at the op shop, the people that were working there brought out another trolley full of stuff, crockery and that, to put on the shelves. And the young guy that was doing it walked away from the trolley, and I sort of happened to look down there, and I thought, oh, okay. And down the bottom, I could see this plate, and it was one of those ones that you put eggs into, when you cook the eggs and you cut them in half and you put curry in the yolks and put them in, and those ones. And it was one of those plates, and it had a dozen little places there for about to put these half eggs into. And I could see just part of it sticking out, and it was made of that milk glass. So I lifted everything else out the trolley and pulled it out, and it was gorgeous. It was a milk glass, and it's got a gold trim round the outside. And I thought, my goodness. And here I was, I picked it up. I think I got $3 I paid for it, which is not very much when you consider the exchange rate for America. But yeah, that was $3. And then I went and had a look on Etsy, I think it was, and I think they can sell for anywhere between 50 to upwards dollars. And that's in American dollars. And I thought, well, that was a good score. So I don't quite know what I'm going to do with that. It's certainly not going into the garage sale. But when I told my daughter about it, she says, Mum, I think you need to stop going to the op shops for a while. And I says, yeah, I think I do. But anyway, that's another story. So I just want to know if you've got any projects that you've got on the go, or anything that you're thinking about, whether you're sort of thinking, oh no, I don't want to do it, it's going to be too hard, or it's going to take me too long. What does it matter how long it takes and how hard it is? Why not just have a go and do it? So I'm just interested to see that, anyone that's retired, what sort of projects and hobbies and that have you started that you didn't do while you were in the workforce? What is there that takes your interest, takes your time, and all that sort of stuff that you're enjoying now, which is so different from anything that you've ever done in the past? I'm just keen to see what other people are doing, and just to reassure myself that I'm not the only idiot that decides that I'm, trying to be 40 years old when in fact I'm over 70. So anyway, that's me. If you'd like to like, comment or share this video, I would be very happy. And if you'd like to subscribe, that would really help me build up my YouTube channel. And that would be wonderful. And so in the meantime, I will say take care everybody and stay safe, and I'll see you again on the next one. Okay then, bye-bye.